So welcome to our Silent Giants podcast. This is Phillip Billingsley. And so welcome, and just tell our listeners a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Phillip Billingsley. I'm the COO for ClearPath Home Care. I've been here 5 years. We are an Avenues home care company. We merged and were acquired by them back in November of last year. So we're coming up about a year now. Avenues covers Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, and Texas.
Wow.
And I get to manage the ClearPath piece of that. And
Big territory.
it is a big territory, and we're growing, and we love it, every minute of it.
And so forgive me, how long did you say you'd been doing this?
5 years with ClearPath, yeah.
5 years.
Yeah.
So what drew you to work in the home care, and what really keeps you passionate about what you do?
If you would have asked me 6 years ago, I would not have known what home care was, honestly. I'm an entrepreneur by trade. I've always been an entrepreneur, multiple businesses, and the previous owners of ClearPath and I were good friends, and we'd always said one day we'll work together. And they were looking to branch out of Breckenridge, Texas, small rural town America, and grow into the urban markets, and reached out and said, hey, you want to join and help us? I never say no to a business opportunity, and was excited to do that. And then it switched, right? Everything switched when you get into home care and you start dealing with the patients and the families and the clients and the caregivers. And what keeps me, what makes me passionate now is obviously the clients. You go to your first intake and you sit down with the exhausted daughter or the tired wife and realize we're doing something here. We're making a difference here. And my team. I'm so passionate about my team and what they do and who they're serving and the heart they have behind it. Everyone is invested in our vision and our mission. Now under Avenues, they carry the same vision and mission and are just partners with us. And it's a journey, and it's beautiful. And I can't see myself doing anything else now.
That's awesome. And how fulfilling.
It is.
I get asked the same thing. Hey, how do you do what you do? But isn't it cool to know that they're walking through the toughest times of their life, and you get to step in. You have that privilege of walking in and just pouring into them. Yeah,
Absolutely.
You're a lifesaver to them.
My team is.
Well,
I get to lead them, but
your team,
they're doing the hard work.
Right. And it's not always what you know, it's who you know, and those people and your friends that you invested with and brought you to this point right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So grateful.
I love it. So with that in mind, when you think about, just like our podcast, our title, Silent Giants, standing on the shoulders of silent giants, the elders, the caregivers shaping our community, maybe quietly, maybe not recognition, not in the spotlight, who comes to your mind?
Caregivers every day. So we have a fantastic team of caregivers. Our management staff as well. We call them care relationship managers, going above and beyond to make sure our clients are taken care of. But it's the beyond 9 to 5 part that the silent giant steps up. And I'll give you a couple of examples. We have caregivers. They're fantastic. They're trained. They do well. They love their clients. But it's when the clock stops, right? Their shift is over and the above and beyond piece kicks in. During our latest ice storm, right? We have caregivers who were borrowing their husband's 4x4 to make sure their client gets a bowl of soup in the shower.
Yes.
Just this week, what is today? Wednesday, Monday of this week, 2 days ago, I get a phone call from an office. We get to serve lots of veterans across Texas. We're very proud of that. Unfortunately, though, veterans have a limbo stage sometimes where their auth runs out and they're waiting on their new auth, and there's nothing we can do about that. So Avenues is very passionate about giving back, and so we've created a charity fund for those limbo moments to say, hey, we're going to step in and take care of you. This particular individual had already been out of their auth for over a week, and he was okay. We reached out and said, hey, maybe we should start your hours up. Let's put you in the charity care bucket. And the caregiver said, well, I've already been going. I've been going, not getting paid because he needs our help. So don't worry about it. And those are the silent giants in the community. They're just out there building relationships. They're truly a part of the family. We can do it without the caregivers. Man. I can have the best operations all day long, but we can't do it without the caregivers.
Absolutely. I share that with the hospice, with our CNAs. They're the hands and feet
all day
that make it happen. Oh. Sometimes we get the recognition, but it's them.
It's them.
And you shared that just to the T.
Yeah.
So tell me this on the flip side, maybe what's a misconception that people often have about home care that you personally, that you wish you could change?
The number one, and we're trying to defeat it all day long. Here's the thing. We've done it to ourselves in the home care industry. We have boxed ourselves in.
Right.
Every ad, brochure, commercial is an old person with an aid. We are so much more than just taking care of the elderly. I don't use the term elder care. I stick to home care because we do so much more than just helping the aging population. Is that a big portion of what we do? Absolutely. I don't think people realize, though, how much our aides do, our caregivers. A lot of them are CNAs, and we do a little bit of everything. So give you a couple examples. A new mom who maybe had a C-section is coming home. We can't help with the baby, but she still needs help. She needs care. She needs things she can't do. Our caregivers will step in and do that. Even folks who have elective surgery, you know, they're choosing to have something done. We're going to come home with you for 6 to 8 weeks or 12 weeks, whatever that is, and take care of the home, take care of you, get you a hot meal, get you to your follow-up appointment. It's not an old person. It's a 30-year-old who had elective surgery, and we get to help and be a part of their recovery. Another piece is accident victims, unfortunately. We serve a lot of accident victims, car accidents, motorcycle accidents, and they're sometimes 20, 30, 40 years old. It's not an old person.
Yeah.
We get to help.
People don't think about those.
They don't think about that.
They just think of the elderly. So
the
that's a good
newest
point.
population we're really getting to branch into and help with, it's near and dear to my heart, is the intellectually disabled community, IDD community.
Yeah.
Young adults with autism, Down syndrome. Parents are young. They still have to work. Their child is now 19, 20, 21 and aged out of high school. What's next? We get to step in. Our caregivers get to step in and be a part of their journey, help them be independent. Mom gets to go work still, and we get to be with that young adult who just needs a little extra care. It's fantastic.
That's
the
awesome.
best.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So with that, how do you personally, how would you define dignity in the I know we've talked about all ages, but if we talked about in the end of life or later years as they're aging, how do you define that?
Dignity for me is, there's a lot to that, right?
Absolutely.
It's a heavy topic, but first thing for me is choices. What I see a lot of, especially when it's children who are putting care in place for mom or dad, they're eliminating all their choices, right? Mom needs care, dad needs care.
Right.
And we come to the intake, and we have boxes. What are the things we're going to do? And all of it. Mom needs all of it. Mom needs all of it. I know you think that, but mom's sitting 5 feet from you. Let me talk to mom, right? It's giving them that piece to say, you have a voice, right? Age does not define you. Your body's giving out. Your memories may be giving out. Whatever's failing you doesn't define you. You're still a person. What do you need?
Yeah.
An example is bathing, showers, right? Mom needs help with a shower. Great. Now we're going to turn to mom and say, Mom, what do you need help with, right? Can you wash your hair? No. Okay, so you need help with that. But I can wash my body. Then let's let you do that, and we'll take care of your hair. Well, I can't reach my feet. We'll take care of your feet. We're giving her that independence, that piece to say, I want to be a part of my care. I can still take care of myself and have as much independence as possible. Giving them those choices, to me, is huge. We often come in and rip all those choices away from them, and I don't think that's fair.
I think you said a key point too, and I see that every day, is that they thank us for talking directly to the patient, because you're right. It seems like the head goes this way and the patient's here, and so that's a great point, and that's a great compliment to you and your team.
Yeah, they do a great job. I'm a certified dementia care specialist as well. I've been affected by it in my family.
Okay.
It was perfect timing, more or less, when I had got certified, and then a year later, my father-in-law was diagnosed. So my training came into place personally, but one of the things in training, and one of the biggest problems we have with dementia patients, is they don't want to be bossed, right? They need choices. Dehydration is our number one problem we fight with dementia patients. And it's amazing in my training, and it works with real life people, where they tell you, don't walk up and say, hey, get a drink of your water. I'm not going to do that all day long. But if you walk up and say, hey, I have tea or water, which do you want? All of a sudden, I wanted the tea. They got to choose. So immediately they'll do it. It's the same thing. Even with non-memory care patients, they want a choice. What do you want to do today? What are the options?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, and you kind of just touched on that, Phillip, but what's one story, maybe something that's for you personal, that you've experienced, that just touches your heart, that moves you, keeps you doing what you do?
So I tell this story often. It means a lot to me. It was my early days in ClearPath. I was out doing a lot of the intakes. And we were really picking up with VAs. We were getting a lot of VA offs, and sometimes they would be 2 to 3 hours away from the office that I was in. I remember getting this one specific auth came through. We always called the individual to say, "Hey, we received your auth. Congratulations. We're the home care provider. We're going to come out tomorrow to evaluate you, get you signed up." Most people are thrilled. Right. They're just, "Oh my gosh, we've needed this for so long. We're so glad to be approved. We'll see you tomorrow." I called one gentleman and he answered the phone. "What do you want?" I said, "Well, this is Phillip with ClearPath." And he said, "Well, what do you want?" And I was like, "All right, this is an interesting individual." And I tell him that he'd been approved for home care and I'm going to come out. And he's like, "All right, well, we'll see you tomorrow, whatever. And don't be late." I mean, he's just grouch. Yeah. And the next day was a 2.5 hour drive from me. It was a long drive, middle of nowhere. I'm getting dust all over. I'm like, where does this guy live? And I'm lost. So I call him up and I said, "Hey, I'm going to refer to him as Mr. Grouch and you'll hear why." And I call him up and said, "Hey, I can't seem to find your property. Could you help me out?" He starts cussing me out. He's just like, "You're wasting my effing time. Where are you?" I said,
"Welcome to the real world."
Yeah. I was like, "Well, hang on a second."
Yeah.
Every now and then we have unprofessional moments, and sure. I had been driving for 2.5 hours. I was hungry, I was tired, and I lost it on him. And I said, "Sir, I just drove 2.5 hours. I'm trying to help you. You don't have to be an a-hole. I'm just trying to find you. And if you're going to treat me this way, you're probably going to treat my caregivers this way, and I'm not interested in that. I value my caregivers, and they're going to be treated with respect. So this is probably not going to work, and I wish you the best." And he says, hang on. Wait a minute. Come on out. Here's my house." And so fast forward, I show up to his house, and I'm actually a little worried. I'm like, I've now made him mad. Yes, is there a bat waiting for me? And I go inside, and I sit down with him, and he's rough. Like he's just, he doesn't want to answer my questions, and he's irritated, and he's just so angry. And we started getting into the nitty-gritty of personal care, and he starts breaking down. And he's like, "I can't take a shower on my own. I can't wipe myself anymore. Yep. There's these things, my body's failing me, and I'm mad. I am so mad." And one of the things we do in our intakes is we ask hobbies, personal, yep. And, what do you like to do? And he starts going down story lane, telling me all the travel he did with his wife. And, you see that camper trailer out there? We traveled the world in it. And I have all these memories. And he had children. He had grandchildren. They're all in other states. He's like, "I don't see my kids. I don't see my grandkids. It's not their fault.
Right.
They're just living their life."
Yeah.
His wife had passed away. He said, "So what is my hobby? It's sitting in this house. I sit here. I'm alone. I stink. I can't go to the bathroom on my own." He's like, I'm angry. I'm angry at the world." And he made a comment about, if you sat here and watched TV all day and eat what's in that box, you'd be pretty PO too. And I look over, and there's the box that he got from the food pantry. And I take a peek, and it's got, raviolis and tuna and a box of saltine crackers. I mean, nothing that no one would want to eat.
Right.
And so we had a conversation, and it was great. And he asked me, he's like, "Well, what about you? Do you have kids? Do you have family? What's your story?" And we sat there and just talked. And I tell him that I have a daughter, and that she's my world. And he's like, "Well, hang on to her, hang on to your kid." And he gets emotional again. He's like, "I don't talk to my kids very much." He's like, They're just busy. And so we finished the intake, and he says, "Well, you can always refer to me as, Mr. Grouch." He's like, "I'll forever be, Mr. Grouch to you." And I was like, "Oh, it's fine. Like, we're all good." And he goes, "Hey, before you go, I'd like to give something to your daughter." And I said, "No, you don't have to do that." And he looks around. He's like, and he digs in the box, and he pulls out the box of saltine crackers. And I have the picture on my phone. And I said, "You don't have to give me that." He's like, "It's all I have. But I'd love for her to have these saltine crackers." Needless to say, I get in the car, and I'm just crying.
Sure.
I'm just crying over this box of saltine crackers. That's all he had. And over the next 3 years, we gave him so much joy. We gave him his life back. And our caregivers would take him. They took him to Thanksgiving. And he would call me. hey, Phillip, it's the grouch, and I'm like, why are you bothering me? And we just bust each other back and forth. I'm like, I'm working. He's like, no, you're not. You're in our office watching TV, and we had this great, great relationship. And he'd always say, come out and let me make you some ribs, and come out and have a shot of whiskey with me. And this man that I almost wrote off for being an a-hole was not. He was hurting. He's sad. He's depressed. He wasn't the typical old angry person. He just was hurting, and he's sad, and we made his life better. And he asked me to towards the end, his last week of life, he asked that I come down, and I wasn't able to make it. We were going on vacation, but I got an opportunity to be on FaceTime with him as he took his last breath. And I'll never forget that man. He's made me evaluate. Now when I meet someone and they're angry and they're mad, I want to know your story now. I'm not even going to judge you anymore. Now, there's some people of that personality, right? Yeah. But the angry old person probably is just hurting.
And they weren't mad at Phillip.
It wasn't mad at me.
But
it was
because you were able to have some thick skin, to be real, to be raw.
Yeah.
We see that every day with family dynamics. And you said you had your national certified with Alzheimer's, right?
Yeah.
And I know you know this because I do too. Is you meet them where they are.
Every time.
That's exactly what you did, and you earned that right.
Yeah.
And man, that's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
So you share those stories, you share your personal experiences. So let me ask you this: what trends, or innovations are you seeing in home health care, maybe that could change the way we care for aging adults in the future?
Yeah.
Because it is changing.
It is changing, and it's good and bad.
Yep,
so my answer to that is, it's 2025. Technology is taking over, and I see lots of benefit with it, but I also see the downside. And I go to conferences and I go to meetings, and everyone wants the latest AI, whatever. And I do think it has its place.
Sure.
I think it needs to be used as a tool and not as a replacement. And I'm seeing, unfortunately, a lot of home care agencies wanting to use it as a replacement sometimes, as a monitoring system. So do I think it'll shape the future of home care and home health? And absolutely. Will it help us monitor falls and notify us of cries for help? Sure. But a robot can't pick up the bad day and the depression and the things that we as humans can feel. So I'm excited for the future, but I'm cautiously optimistic about all this technology that's kind of being forced into our world, our industry. Mm-hmm. Home care is personal. Home care should be personal. It should be a personal touch, a personal connection. Our caregivers get invited to holidays and Thanksgivings, and they go on vacations. And one of the honors of my career, I think, is when a family puts our caregiver in their family's obituary. Yeah. That's huge.
It is.
To say thank you to so-and-so for making her last year, 2 years, 2 weeks, the best of her life. And I'm like, that's a huge honor. That connection can't happen through a robot. And so I do fear sometimes all the push for the AI and the technology, but it's exciting. It's still great. There's some good tools, but I just hope everyone uses it as a tool and not as a replacement.
Absolutely. And so spinning off with that, when it comes to policy, even at a state, even at a national level, how does it, most impact your ability to deliver, that quality home care?
So I get to serve, recently joined as the vice chair for HCAOA, Home Care Association of America.
Okay.
Serving with a great chair who's out of Houston area. And we get to work with HCOA, who's huge in our industry on advocating for us when it comes to national and state local policy. Huge advocacy department. We get to lobby. We get to go to Washington once a year and stomp our feet on Capitol Hill. It's a lot of fun, right? We get to raise awareness. I stay out of politics otherwise. That's just who I am.
Sure.
And so I am honored to be a part of that team and see the changes that they're making. Taking a step back, though, one of the things in Texas that I hope we see improvement on, and it's not even a legislative policy. This is just licensing policy. Home care is often lumped in with home health on a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. We're under the same category, community-based care. Yep. But we have restrictions that we can't do that home health can do. A lot of home cares will be dual licensed as PAS, the personal assistant services, and or the licensed home health. We, as an agency, are only PAS. ClearPath is. Avenues does have an agency in San Antonio that's both, And it's fantastic. It opens lots of doors. What I would love to see from the state level is a little looser reins when it comes, not even looser reins, that's probably not the right word, more trust in our PAS that we can do a little bit more than what you realize. Give you a direct example. We partner with a lot of hospices.
Okay.
We're
Sure.
there sometimes 24/7, end of life.
Mm-hmm.
The hospice aides are coming and going. Nurses are coming and going. They're not always there to administer that comfort pack, that morphine that client needs to rest comfortably. But we are. State of Texas says we can't administer medication. And it's something that we all fight on the PAS side to say, with the proper training, obviously we don't want anyone just doing this, right? But trust us to do proper training,
Right.
and be able to go one step more. We're more than just a bath service or a home cleaning service.
Sure.
Our caregivers are there often more times than anyone else. Let us have a little bit more trust that we can do some of these higher skilled things. I have CNAs on staff, a lot of CNAs. That's one of the things we pride ourselves with at ClearPath, is that high quality of care. The next piece is some of our compliance stuff. We don't have the freedom of the home health, but we're held to some of the forms of a home health. So I have things in my compliance book that I'm tracking urinary catheter infections. We're not even allowed to do that.
Right.
But they have not taken the time from a state level to revise some of these rules.
But it's still intertwined.
It's intertwined. So I want us to be broke apart. I need us to be seen as the third leg of the stool and not combined. It's home health, hospice, and home care. We stand alone, and we need that separate policies in place for us.
So dealing with your families on a day-to-day basis maybe kind of shifts gears a little bit, but if you could have a wand and you change one thing about not just Texas, but different things, but primarily because that's where we are, but how Texas supports home care and our in-home aging, what would it be if you could change that one thing? I know there's probably a bunch.
There's a bunch. The one thing that everyone in Texas would probably echo is the Medicaid reimbursement rate. For PAS, it's so low, it's impossible. 13 and some change. We don't even pay our caregivers that low.
Right.
And we have been stomping our feet and asking for that to be raised. Unfortunately, home care does not qualify under Medicare. So we're serving private pay and we're serving veterans. Though there's a bracket of people there that we're not able to reach because they can't afford it, or they're not a veteran. They don't have a long-term care policy. They don't have savings, but they might be under Medicaid. The problem is, if I as an agency want to accept that at $13 and something cents an hour, I'm supposed to pay what, $8, $9, $10 an hour just to hopefully break even. What does that mean for your quality of care?
Yeah.
Who's working for $8 an hour?
No one.
And so it puts us in a position to where we just have to say, okay, we're just not going to do that. We're going to opt out of Medicaid, and that's leaving so many people on the table who need our care. That's excluding a whole demographic of people that need us, and we can't support them because, we're a business. At the end of the day, we got to keep the lights on, and $13 an hour is not going to do that for us. So I hope to see that improvement. I hope even HCAOA is huge advocacy, just really getting that message out to say we need help in Texas. So if I could wave a wand, that would be the thing.
That was it.
And we're not asking for a huge, just give us enough to be able to pay caregivers a decent, livable wage and keep the lights on.
Sure.
So we can reach all these folks who need us.
I love it. So what advice would you give someone, just like you talked in your early journey, that I'd never, it's funny, everybody that sits right here, Phillip, they're sitting there going, I never thought I'd be working with the elderly.
Yeah.
And yet how I think it's cool how our gifts and talents and here you are.
Yeah.
You're working. So if you were telling somebody, or what advice would you give someone entering the elder care field today?
Do it for the right reasons. I'm in a couple of networking groups, and now serving with HCOA, I get to meet a lot of great people, and then I get to meet the other half, the people who like, oh, it's a good business. It was a quick franchise. It was a quick entry into a business, which is a little contradicting because I got into this, with a business mindset as an entrepreneur, but very quickly realized those who don't come in and realize the true vision and mission behind what we're doing, just let us do it. Stay home. Yeah. Don't come into it with a different mindset. And so if you're thinking about it and you're coming in, really evaluate what we're doing and the difference we're making and the challenges we have to overcome. I see too many people think, oh, this is a cheap business. This is a cheap startup. All I got to do is apply for a license and turn on an open sign.
Sure.
And that's true. You can. And there's a lot of agencies who do, and their quality of care is horrible. People are getting hurt. Balls are being dropped, and that's not okay. And we need to be a little bit more strict about that in the industry. And I think everyone's raising enough awareness to be a little bit stricter when it comes to licensing procedure. You know, there's some states that you don't even have to have a license to own a home care company. Great as the business because you don't have someone overseeing you, but it's to me, it's dangerous for the clientele.
What a scary
there should be a level, a standard level of care that we all should adhere to, and I'd love to see that. But if you're coming into it brand new, just step back and see the vision and mission, and make sure your heart's in the right place. Because the hard days, the heart's what get you through.
That's it, and I appreciate you saying that, because that's definitely you can leave with the head knowledge, but if you don't have the heart knowledge, you're right. You'll burn out when you leave with the heart. You know, you're there, and that's what makes you an asset. And so, thank you for sharing those things. And then, too, just, you know, we talk about the end of life, and, you know, we share with people, and it's like we kind of push it off like, one day we'll get there. Yeah. But we're all getting there, you know, and some earlier and faster than others. But if you could share, or if you could give your 2 cents, Phillip, of just, you know, what would you tell a family preparing right now? What would you tell them instead of waiting for the future? What would be your advice?
A couple of things. We sometimes sit down at dining room tables with families, and they don't know anything about their loved one. And it's 2 ways. One, the children never asked, and B, the parents never said. And they don't have a file together. They don't have a place that says, here's my plan, here's my wishes, here's what policies I have in place. Right. Especially when it's memory care. Those are always the hardest, because it's like, I don't know what mom and dad have. I don't know if they can afford this. I don't know if there's a long-term care policy. So have a plan, have a book, have a binder, have something that tells your loved ones, here's what I have. Here's the account numbers, right? Here's who's in charge. Get a POA in place. Get a medical POA in place, because someday maybe you're going to need that. We didn't have that for my father-in-law. We were scrambling in the end, right? Like his good days, we were like, we have to have a plan in place. Right. So you're having a good day. Let's talk about it. Sure. What are your wishes? Sign this form. Like, right? Like it's one of those things. We have a lucid moment. Like, what do you want us to do? And luckily we had some of those moments with him, and it was beautiful. But it opened my eyes up to say, okay, we need a plan. We need a plan. The other thing is long-term care. People don't do long-term care insurance anymore. It's just forgotten about. We do health, dental, vision, and life. Right. Long-term care, if you can, if you're young, if you're able, get a plan in place, get a long-term care policy. It has saved some of our clients. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of care. It's very expensive to have home care. And these long-term care policies have saved some people where they had nothing left. No retirement, no savings, but their LTC policy stepped in. So get that in place. If not, be calculating. One day you might need some help, and it's not cheap. Be prepared for that. Start preparing very young. It's never too early. So,
man, your information has been spot on, beneficial. Hopefully, our listeners, our supporters, they hear this and think, you know what? I didn't think of it like that. And so thank you for your input. Of course. Let me ask you this. With that, how can our listeners today, our supporters, how can they support your work and your organizations? How do we reach you? How do we contact you?
Yeah. Obviously, social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, find us ClearPath Home Care, Avenues Home Care, is our overall organization. So find us on social medias, me directly. You can always reach. We have offices across Texas, 7. Abilene area, Granbury, Dallas, all the way over to Tyler. I personally sent up in the Denton area. I gave you guys my email. It's just phillip@clearpathhomecare.com. I am an open door for anyone who needs resources, has questions. I will say this too, if you're in the state of Texas and you want to join like HCAOA and be a part of our state chapter and help us make a difference, reach out. I'd love to help more people and more agencies. If we can collaborate all together, we can make a big world of difference. Awesome. Our website's clearpathhomecare.com. And then, of course, you can look up Avenues. So it's a fantastic organization, and I'm excited to be a part of it all.
Perfect. Phillip Billingsley, thank you so much. Our supporters, our listeners today, we hope you've been blessed. thank you for joining us today with our Silent Giants, Giants podcast. And God bless you.
I appreciate
and,
it. It was an honor.
Just keep on keeping on.
Thank you, sir.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
man.